Today, I'm going to take the discussion forward with Jenny Johnson. She's the CEO of Franklin Templeton Global. $1.5 trillion is the kind of asset under management globally. And she's been around 35 years doing it. Franklin, by the way, is also one of the organization's oldest global organizations to come to India with the mandate of asset management. Right, Jenny?
That's right.
So great to have you. Thanks so
you.
much for being part of ET Now GBS this year. From your vantage point, you've been listening to our ministers, our leaders around here. And as I was researching about you, I observed that you do seem to be traveling a lot at many global platforms. What did you find different at ET Now GBS this time around? Something which you took notice of?
Yeah, no, so I one of the comments we were talking about earlier is I was just trying to imagine doing an event like this in the U.S. and having the president, the vice president, and so many what we call secretaries, but equivalent of your ministers, accessible like this. And I can't imagine, I don't think there is an event. So I think I've just been impressed with, one, the pretty candid conversations, and I loved the Minister of Railroads, and listening to him talk, he sounds like a business person. You have, this many miles you want to travel on road, this many miles you want to travel on rail, and that's the right way to think about it, to be able to advance it. So taking that kind of practical approach. So it's just been really interesting to observe the accessibility and what appears to be the transparentness of the various folks. So it's been a worthwhile time.
Great, and that's what ET Now's job is, to bring the policymakers, all the stakeholders close to each other and have all the relevant conversations. As a practitioner of money management, somebody who's been running this organization at such a senior level, how does India appear now? Because you have a very vast history of how Indian economic scene has been. Franklin has been observing it from the very late 2-3 decades now.
Yes,
so
we set up an asset management. We were the first, as you mentioned, foreign manager back in 1995 to come to India and have been here for 27 years. Today, 20% of our workforce is based in India. I actually lived for a period of time, in a short period of time, but with my family, and my kids went to school in Hyderabad. So I've really seen sort of India grow over the last 27 years. And, there was always a saying, I know you all know this, which is India grows at night while the government sleeps, right? And I would laugh because I would always say to people, come on, this is an economy with, a huge percentage of 56% of the population under age of 25, a British-oriented legal system, some of the top education. There's so much opportunity. And I tell you, the expat Indians were always the most skeptical. They say, they never can get it done. It's always the promising future. And for the first time, and it's really happened over kind of the last 2 years that I noticed the change, it's that Indians are the most positive on India, who were skeptical, and that what you have is what historically was potentially a headwind to opportunity, which was the government slowing it down, hence growing at night, to now much more of a tailwind. And, it's one of those, as I mentioned yesterday, it's like, being a chef and walking into this phenomenal kitchen. Now it's about putting it together, and it feels like the combination of the programs and policies, being organized, are really making great strides. And I think pulling together what to me is a tremendous opportunity. And for Franklin Templeton, we set up in 1995 because we believed there'd be an opportunity, and the industry's grown, but in the end, it's pretty nascent. It's still only 5%, I think, of the population actually has mutual funds and saves. And so we're now incredibly excited about what the future is going to be.
Well, that's correct. I mean, there's a data point which shows that the stock market participants and mutual fund participants are, very tiny compared to, say, the Netflix subscribers in India, right? So that this category is growing. But there's a furious bull market going on in India. India is the best performing globally. Do you still see good tailwinds for Indian asset management and in Indian market prospects? I'm not talking about a quarter or a year. I'm talking about, the vast majority of people Indian investors are smartening up. They are taking longer-term bets. What would your message to them would be?
Look, the greatest opportunity for us in the asset management business is a growing middle class. And you look at it today, and growth begets growth. We talked about it yesterday. The domestic economy grows, people's wealth grows, people end up wanting to save for the future. You have a lot of people talking about the middle class in India is going to grow from 20-something% to 40-something%. All of those become great investors and clients and opportunities for us. And then you just look at the sheer size of a country of 1.4 billion people with growing per capita income. It's a tremendous opportunity.
I want to understand the foreign investors' view as well. In the last 1 year, I would say last few years, there's a third front which has emerged in India, which is the retail investor, almost nudging 19,000 crores coming to Indian markets every month in the form of SIP. So the faith of the Indian investor is rock solid. But in the last 1.5 years, the foreign investor into India has been, the flows have been on the negative. Do you see that reverse in the next few years? Is that a temporary phenomenon?
Yeah, I mean, capital goes where capital is treated well. So as policies improve in India and make it more welcoming for currencies to come in and investments to come in, you're going to absolutely see more flows coming in. People recognize the India story, but there was often a view that, yeah, if you did private equity in India, your joint venture partner always made money and you didn't make your money. You couldn't get it out. So those things have to be addressed. But as they're addressed, and obviously with a growing economy, which we can clearly see India is, then the opportunity for foreign direct investment. And I think things like Gift City, is a great way. It's clearly an initiative designed to bring money into India. And those kind of incentives are incredibly effective.
So give us some flavor of Franklin's India plans. You spoke about Gift City. I'm assuming you're already planning an office there.
We are. Yes,
but this place is getting very competitive. New mutual funds are getting launched. Yep. Fund managers are breaking away, starting their own outfits and scaling up. Number of affluent investors in India, the highest growth across anywhere in the world is India, affluent investors. What are our plans to capture this growth, to make a business larger? Some color on Franklin's India plans going ahead.
Well, I mean, so it's one thing to offer mutual funds. I think the key that we've always focused on is also adding things like financial education, right? The ecosystem around that. And it's a really interesting time, I think, in the industry because you have a combination. So our Franklin Templeton Academy actually came out of India because we found that we needed to educate people to make them better investors. And now we thought that would be a developing market opportunity, but the honest answer is everywhere across the world, there's a need for financial education. And so our academy is something that we've launched, as I said, we launched it here, but we leverage it globally. I think technology is bringing really interesting tools to reach more people and customize more specific portfolios. So I think you're going to see kind of an evolution from more sort of, let me get exposure to, say, large cap stocks in the market to here are my goals, build a portfolio that's more specifically designed to those goals. And then I think finally blockchain will drive down the cost of delivering some of these types of products. It's still very nascent, but it will happen. And that is going to be incredibly effective in India because I think it becomes much greater for financial inclusion. All
right. One last point I want to discuss with you. Please permit me to be a little personal. I see you such a flourishing career. I'm in an enviable position. You are at CEO at Global Franklin. But this is the financial markets, not only in India, but globally. How do you see the role of women? And what did it take to come at the leadership position? What would your message be? Women participation in financial market in India is also growing. And many, whatever message you'll send out will actually make a deep impact. What would your message or some learning be?
I guess one of the things from learning, I asked, so I have 5 children and 3 daughters, and I asked my kids, my daughters, are any of you going to follow me in this business? Mm-hmm. And one of my daughters said, oh no, Mom, I want to do something that helps people. And I was like,
oh, how cool is that?
This business helps people, but it made me realize that we don't talk about it in such a way as effectively solving people's problems, helping them with medical expenses if they need to, or saving money to send their children to, better education and things like that. And so one is, as an industry, we've got to talk about it better. And two, and we're close on time, so I won't go into it, but a diverse group of investment people will uncover more ideas. And so it's really important that you have diversity in your investment teams, because they will find opportunity that others may miss if they don't have that same perspective. So getting more women in is really important.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today,
you.
Jenny. It was wonderful to have you. Thank you so much for that.